So let's see. I just want to make sure we're going live, Don.
I think it's already live, but
okay, great. Are we live? Perfect. Okay, what is going on, everyone? I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Damien Coughlan here, co-founder with Pitch Investors Live, and we are coming to you today with another awesome interview and podcast. It's episode 4 of season 2 of Pitch the World. Of course, Pitch the World is an awesome podcast bringing together the best entrepreneurs, the best leaders, visionaries, creators in the space, and that is going to help you in whatever journey you have in life. And I've got a very, very special guest today. He's a friend, mentor, genius. He's building businesses and building opportunities for people out there that want to start an online business with e-commerce. I've known Don now since 2016. He's done multiple millions of dollars in sales online. He's also doing consistently maybe 6 figures with his company Gear Bubble. He manages, mentors, he does it all. He is very charismatic, very influential. Everybody knows him in the space. And today, you're going to get a lot of value if you are looking to build a business online. You're looking to think outside the box during these times. I know that you're going to get tremendous value. So leave a comment below where you're watching from. Leave a like, share if you get value. And Donald, I'm very happy to have you on. How are you doing today?
Doing good, buddy. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me out. I'm excited to give some value to your people. And, I've known you for a long time now, since you stopped working with Apple, I believe. A couple days later, you were on the other side of the world with me. So it's really great to be out here, and thanks for having me out.
Great. Yeah, just to give some context, and this is the beauty of the internet and how we're able to connect with people all over the world, just like Pitch Investors Live connects entrepreneurs with investors. Don and I connected back in 2016, and what was incredible was that I think we met through Travis, and Travis put us on a little chat, and I remember you telling me, well, Damien, you don't have the experience yet to come to Bali. And I said, Don, please let me in your mastermind. And the rest is history. So I arrived 3 days later, and we connected, and I saw the influence and the skills that you had to help other people build a business online. So I'm very grateful to you, Don. And today we're going to get into a lot of great details. We're going to talk about your background. We're going to talk about how you became a top seller with a company, Silicon Valley company, Teespring, and how you managed to diversify and based on a need that you found in the marketplace was create your own vision and how you wanted to see the world of e-commerce. And that's very powerful that you saw a gap in the market. We're also going to talk about entrepreneurship and the highs and lows that comes with entrepreneurship, how to meet and how to find investors. And I know you're changing your lifestyle too, Don. You're getting into all this fitness, and which is great, and that's very empowering for me. And then at the very end, we're going to talk a bit about maybe some questions that the audience members have. So if you've got a question for Don about building a business online with e-commerce, just drop it below. But Don, first of all, I'm excited to have you here, and tell us a bit about your background, Don, because I love hearing about where people got started. I'm a farm boy from Ireland. Who would have thought I would have become an internet marketer? But Don, tell me a bit about your upbringing. Like where did you grow up, and what was your side hustle?
Well, I grew up probably a little similar to you, but just different country. I grew up in a really small town in Kansas called Mulvane, graduating class of 80 people or something similar to that, really small. Only 3,000 people in my town. So I'm from a small town, just kind of like you. I started just regular 9-to-5 work. I worked anywhere from a Wendy's to being a debt collector to just regular random jobs. And when I first started being an entrepreneur, I was a full-time student, and I worked full-time at a debt collector. And I was a student in one city, a debt collector in another. And then at night, from 9 o'clock to midnight, I would peruse the internet, Googling, looking for Twitter software, anything to try to make a quick buck, because obviously I wasn't super happy calling people that hated to hear from me all day, asking them for money that they didn't have. Not the most fulfilling job. So I kind of worked late at night after school, and eventually I found a course online. This place called the Warrior Forum that taught me how to do really, really cheap likes on Facebook. I bought it. It was like $10, best investment of my life. And I said, let me try it. So I spent $5 here and there in the evenings after school, and got a giant Pitbull page built up to 10,000 fans with a couple bucks. And then I built a German Shepherd page and a Rottweiler page. And I eventually figured out how to turn all that traffic into sales and money. And it's kind of steamrolled from there. into becoming this lifelong serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, and that's funny what you say, Don. There was a catalyst in there was a moment in your life where you wanted to make a change, and I think the way the world is moving right now is there's an abundance of information out there. There's abundance of opportunity out there, and I'll never forget in 2016 when you said you pick something, you get laser focused on it, you don't diversify, you don't get shiny object syndrome, you put the work in, and you're in it for the long haul. And what year was that, Don, when you actually got into the whole Facebook ad side of things? Like because I think everybody can agree now that everybody has seen a Facebook ad, but I think you were one of the first people ever to actually run the ads, correct there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a while ago. I don't know. It's all kind of blended together at this point. I'd say 8 years ago, when I was first running ads. And this was way before we ever founded eCommerce. I was running ads, building up little communities, and then we were monetizing it, spamming people with CPA offers, because that's all that there was. There was no print on demand. There was no e-commerce. There was no Shopify. I mean, Shopify existed, but I didn't know about it yet. So this was just when I was first baby stepping in, probably 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, into Facebook ads.
Yeah, and one thing that I like about you, Don, is that you're a bit like me. I love to teach. So I think I got my teaching ability from my mother, who's a primary school teacher in Ireland. And when I learn something, I love to disseminate the information. I love to, tell other people about it, And another great thing about becoming a teacher is because you're always staying ahead of the curve. So with Facebook changing, I see you're always in the trenches. I'm always in the trenches. So we kind of know how to adapt to the business model. So when you created you created $1 million launch, Don, was it with a Facebook ads course?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can go through that story as well. So I did create a really big launch. It was a course on how to run Facebook ads. And this is kind of when I was able to merge this cheap traffic on Facebook at very large scale to e-commerce. I found a company called Teespring, and I made this course, and it was just kind of this perfect storm of, I had all this cheap traffic, crappy ways to monetize it, but I was able to get cheap traffic for myself, for local, for affiliate marketers, for digital marketers. It didn't matter. So I put out a course called FB Ads Cracked, and we did $1 million in sales in 6.5 days, $1.4 million in sales. And we influenced hundreds of millions of dollars in sales of e-commerce with that course. We were just teaching people how to sell simple t-shirts in the Facebook newsfeed. And we had quite a very large success, as you kind of know. It kind of echoed its way over to you from that. But it was not so much an accident. It was definitely done on purpose, but it was the right thing at the right time that happened to influence a lot of people and happened to work really, really well. And it flourished into this gigantic, huge e-commerce thing that kind of happened after that. I just saw Rob pop up.
Yeah, I see a lot of one thing you'll notice, guys, is that Don is known throughout both the entrepreneurial, internet marketing, e-commerce space. So Don is known throughout the world. So I think he's famous for his ads. He's famous for becoming a growth hacker. And what's crazy is, you mentioned earlier, Don, about the pitbull niche. And I've always said it, that the riches are in the niches. And when you can become obsessed with your customer, and when you can really dive into the mindset of what makes someone buy a product, that's when you're really going to drive that pixel, drive that email, drive that social media following. And I think a lot of people nowadays, they go through broad. So I think I recommend to start small and know your niche. But Don, one thing that a lot of people watching right now may not know, but can you give a brief overview of how print on demand works as a e-commerce revenue model?
Yeah, basically, print on demand, how it works is we create and manufacture products based on demand. So instead of having to go and source a bunch of products from China, whether it's mugs, t-shirts, whatever it may be, and figure out, all right, how many larges do I need? How many mediums do I need? How many smalls do I need? How many 4X? All of those type of things. We have a website called Gear Bubble that allows people to go on, just upload a design, push it out to either their Shopify store or just drop the link anywhere on any type of advertising network and collect all of the orders. Then we make and manufacture the product, whether it's a t-shirt, necklace, mug, it doesn't matter, on demand. So it takes out all the big risk, the upfront inventory buys, and everything that is with traditional forecasted e-commerce.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's low risk, high reward. You can run it from your home, run it from. You can do it. Could be a family business that you want to start, and really, really powerful because you can literally set up a gear bubble store in a matter of 24 hours, and then you have strategic partnerships with yourself, with shipping, with you can find designers. You have a community, you have a group. So you're educating a person and you're not just throwing them into the deep end, you're giving them the tools, the resources, you're giving them everything they need to succeed. And that's what I love about the communities now. And I love how Facebook is pushing people into groups and teaching people through the unit section, teaching people, how to connect, how to reach out. And I just love the community that exists. And not just your platform, Don, but there's many other platforms out there, and I always love to give a fair shake to everyone, but Gear Bubble is one of the best ones out there. But I love how the community exists right between you and the other sellers. So that's awesome, Don. So tell me, Don, one of the biggest challenges I face, and I think a lot of other people face, is actually building a really great organization and having the vision and having the leadership skills to build something great. So in today's day and age, how would you recommend someone? Maybe they've joined Pitch Investors Live, or they are wanting to start a business. What is the nucleus that really determines a great company like your own Gear Bubble?
A great company is, it's difficult because it's a different answer for different companies. Some people are great because they have the best product in the world. Some people are great because they've got a really great leader or some sort of factors of all these different combinations. Ours is great. I think I am a pretty good leader. That's part of it. But I think most of it was built out of a market need, a very big, large market need. We talked about when I originally started doing Facebook ads to e-commerce, we were using a website called Teespring. All they ever did was t-shirts. And we said, hey, we want to do mugs. We want to do jewelry. We want to have an upsell, basic marketing knowledge between me and you that a company that was worth $600 million at the time wouldn't implement. I was like, listen, guys, this is a giant, huge gaping hole. This isn't even complex stuff. It's just simple business mechanics. These are commonplace items on a Shopify store, on a Gear Bubble product, anything current day. But back then, it was huge holes because all they were doing was, all right, well, shirts are working. Let's sell more and more and more and more shirts. That's where all of our funding was from. And I said, maybe you guys are right, but maybe you can do both. And they wouldn't do both. Maybe it was because the ship was too big and they couldn't move. I don't know. Hindsight's 2020, and I can always tell people do this, this, and this. But they weren't moving. They weren't making these changes. So we eventually kind of came into market and built Gear Bubble out of the nature of demand, need. And I think that's important. A lot of people just go out there and say, okay, I'm going to follow someone or I'm going to do this, but you're not really solving a need. And once you solve a really big, huge need for people that you care about, I think that is the core of what has worked for us. And it may be something different for other people. It's hard to give an exact, simple nucleus answer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think Teespring definitely paved the way for a lot of people to come into the marketplace. I do remember back in 2016, when I was commuting from San Francisco to California, I remember many times there was a little meetup in the Teespring headquarters. I believe they were in San Francisco somewhere, and I just felt it was a very kind of very difficult company to get anything done or to request anything. And I think what you saw is an opportunity, and I think that exists today. Now, is you take something that works, you put your own twist in it, and you as a seller, you found a gap in the market. So that's awesome, Don. And I think anybody watching, there's an old saying, model success. So take something that works, and then add your bit of blend, add your bit of twist to it, and you should see some success. So that's awesome, Don. So a lot of people are probably watching right now. A lot of e-commerce entrepreneurs are probably watching. They've sold t-shirts before. Maybe they've drop shipped from China. And now they realize the problem with drop shipping from China is that, number one, we're in a very, very crucial, obviously we're in a pandemic, and it puts a little bit of strain on our businesses. So one of those is long shipping times, PayPal and Stripe, possible chargebacks, unhappy customers, Facebook scores going down. So what would you recommend, talking about Gear Bubble in specifics? What is the future for e-commerce? Is it personalization? Is it finding new products? Is it upsells? Is it funnels? Where do you see a Gear Bubble going, Don, from a product point of view and also from serving your customers, your e-commerce entrepreneurs?
It is everything that you just said all at the same time. It is continuing to have new products that go on with the trends. We just launched print-on-demand masks because now there's hundreds of millions of people that need masks. That's being versatile, while some print-on-demand places that were built into one factory are unfortunately shut down, not because they did a bad job, just because of simple bad luck. So the market is starting to show holes in anybody's model. I think where it's going to continue to go, personalization is already here. Personalization is going to be the future for a long time. It's going to be here for a long time. It's going to get, I don't know the right word for it, but it's going to get more and more in a basis of being a digital infrastructure on the complete print-on-demand level. So that if I'm on a website like GearBubble and I get an order from Australia, or I get an order from Kansas, or I get an order from Brazil, I'm going to route it to likely the fastest, closest print facility that is to that consumer, so that at the end of the day, no matter where you're at in the entire world, I should be able to get you the product made and delivered faster than any place that's in one spot. And I think this current market and pandemic is showing that that is more of the path of where we're headed, just by nature.
I agree. And Don, you've always been a big believer on planning. So planning out the vision for the year. Okay. So one thing you told me was you got to build your business about event-based traffic. So right now we're approaching May 10th, Mother's Day, massive market. Is Mother's Day, is it still a trending topic for Gear Bubble sellers, Don, or what are people actually moving to right now from a print on demand perspective?
Dude, our Mother's Day sales are nuts right now. we're selling a massive amount of a lot of mugs, and I think we already sell a lot of mugs. We're known for our mugs. We're really top of the world manufacturer for mugs, so that kind of skews the results a little because we're already super known for that. But I think a lot of it has to do with it is a somewhat cheaper product. People are a little bit tight, so jewelry is a product we sell as well, but it's not flying off the shelves like mugs, because if you're charging like $50-$60 for jewelry and it's a luxury item, not so much right now. But mugs, you can get out the door for like $24.90 with shipping. There's enough there to pay Facebook for ads. It's super custom, and people are using mugs now more than ever because they're at home now more than ever. We still sell a lot of shirts, but we're used to express yourself with shirts out in public more. Now you're expressing yourself more in the house more. So I think that is all also been a shitty thing to say, a perfect storm, because it's been a really bad storm for a lot of people. But by that nature, we have sold a lot of our highest selling product that we're really good at, mugs, because it fits everything that's needed right now. Cheap product, personalized product, and it's an indoorsy product, which are all things that are trending right now.
And the perceived value. So, for example, like just giving something like that, like a piece of jewelry or a mug or something that has a very, very creative message, the perceived value of that gift is high. And then when you can match personalization, whether it's for graduation or Mother's Day or a happy birthday, it becomes a really, really great gift to give someone. So I do agree that personalization that has a cheaper retail that allows you to get a higher conversion rate and ultimately build that back end list and upsells throughout your business. So that's awesome, Don. So just to summarize, guys, print on demand, a business model where you can customize your designs on products that Don and other companies like GearBubble and other companies can ship your product to the end customer. Basically, your two main responsibilities are marketing and sales, and a pretty easy business model, low risk. So now, Don, now that we talked about GearBubble, we're going to have, Pitch Investors Live is a company that allows entrepreneurs to bootstrap, to get strategic partnerships, funding, growth, collaboration through our app. So we have an app, and it basically, the vision behind it, Don, and we've talked about apps before, but the vision behind Pitch Investors Live was to allow anybody, anywhere, regardless of age, sex, race, whatever, around the world to connect with investors live, okay? And we have a lot of people, and one of the biggest problems is capital. So from your perspective, Don, building such a large organization, what are some of the things you do for cash flow, for finding partners, great partners? So what would you recommend people watching right now that are looking to get their business off the ground and looking to scale it as aggressively as you have done in the past few years?
Okay. Well, I think that the biggest thing is you have to self-assess your scenario. And then when you're young, you have to stay as lean as possible, kind of be scrappy with, we're pretty big ship at this point now, but we're still pretty scrappy in terms of things, because I don't have some giant VC background. I didn't get a huge amount of funding. My company has mostly bootstrapped itself to $100 million in sales. We've got less than $1 million in funding for that. So we've done pretty well without taking much VC rounds. I don't have tons of advice because this is just not really my backyard. That's more of where, if I had to say, ask Damien. Damien can tell you. I'm not the funding expert. That's probably my biggest weak spot is funding and financing. I'd say do as much as you can with what you've got, and then go after funding with maybe somebody else's advice. I don't know. I don't got a good advice for that.
Yeah. No, but what I love about it, Don, is that you just said it there. You looked inside your own resources. You kind of built it on your vision, and that's something to be very proud of, Don. You know, you didn't rely on this massive VC capital, you know, that a lot of these Silicon Valley, New York City companies actually get the benefit of. So kudos to you, Don. So that's Gear Bubble. We talked about your upbringing and how you went from a debt collector to an internet marketer to seeing a gap in the market and building your own business. Now let's talk about something that, you know, I think a lot of entrepreneurs deal with, and that is, you know, a little bit of, you know, highs and lows. It's a very, you know, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's got, you know, a lot of people anxiety, and there's like, you know, times where you want to give up. What message do you have, Don? You know, I'm not sure if you've had experience in the past where, you know, you went through ups and downs. What message would you give people to keep pushing forward with whatever vision or whatever thing they have in their head to keep moving forward? What kind of things would you advise?
I mean, the biggest thing is probably just remember why you started in the first place. If you get a business, that comes with stress. I mean, choosing the entrepreneurial road, it has great, amazing, awesome things that come with it. It has financial freedom. You have the ability to travel. You have the ability to provide a better life for yourself, family, all kinds of different things. But it comes with a whole lot of other crap that people don't really want to talk about. Then you have to start employing people. Then you have to start paying for their life. Then their families are responsible on you. And then you start to have stress when things are not going well. So remembering why you started and have a very important why is going to help you deal with all of that, because those are both part of the balance game. You don't usually get one without the other. Now it's possible. There's going to be times where the business thrives and it's not going to have that much stress and it's going to be nice and easy. But anyone can make it through those times. Anybody can make it through when it's really nice and easy. When it's tough, go back and remember why you started. Because without that being clear, it will get hard. I've had anxiety different times. I've had depression at different times. I've had it impact my family, relationships, my life, anything and everything in between. And if you build a big enough business, at some point that will happen to you as well. So try to breathe when those things happen. Yeah. That's very important. But then try to remember why you started in the first place. And if you have a really strong why, that's really helpful.
Great advice, great advice. And Don, you know, speaking of another rock star, Rachel, which is your other half, Rachel is also crushing it right now. And how do you and Rachel set aside time for, you know, where you just want to get away from the business? Do you guys travel? Do you, you know, have dinners? Well, you can't do dinner out now because we're in quarantine, but how do you maintain that business versus regular life? Like, I know I'm a bit of a workaholic. Like, I love working. I love providing value in the marketplace. What are you doing with Rachel to kind of get away with the whole craziness of business?
Right now in the quarantine life, I will take a nice, wonderful whisking her away on a vacation to the living room, because you can't really go very far right now. Normally we do a lot of travel. We live a pretty good and healthy life, which is wonderful. I do go get my space. I usually go to the gym. Now I've got a gym downstairs. So we've got a pretty big house, which is nice. So I stay in my section sometimes. She stays over in her section sometimes. We give each other nice, good space, go on walks. It's important to have a little balance. It's important to have a little bit of your alone time. It's important to have date nights and all those different things. We do a lot of business together, so it's even more important for us than I think the average person, because average couples, you know, after you have your long, stressful day at work, you get to come home and unload and kind of work through it together. We do business together, so you bring the stress back, and then you unload on each other. It's just more stress. So it's not good in that perspective. But our relationship over time, we've learned how to give each other space. And we get to go on amazing date nights. We have a lot of family time on the weekend. But if you don't structure it and prioritize it, it becomes a big stress fest. And that's not good for anyone. Hey, there's Jonathan.
That's great advice, Don. I must remember that now once I get my better half. But Jonathan, another serial entrepreneur doing big things with e-commerce and, of course, with Pitch Investors Live. So thank you for joining, Jonathan. So we're coming to the end, and I really value Don's time. And I said I'd set a time 30 minutes. So we've got a few more questions left. But if anybody's got any questions, maybe Deanne can put them up on screen. But Lawrence has a great question here. What made Don want to start Gear Bubble? I think you answered it in somewhat with the need, but was there any other reason you built it, or was the main reason that you couldn't get that Teespring enhancement?
It was twofold. So life adversity, for lack of a better thing, was the catalyst. So I already saw the need. I already saw there was this huge gap on Teespring. Even people that I was teaching and training joked with me and said, Don, when are you going to put out teespring2.com? Like, a lot of people were telling me to do it, and I had limiting beliefs. So I said, well, that's going to require me to figure out this giant staff and all these different things, and I don't know how to do that. I've only had a small VA and small staff, and these were all true. I didn't know how to do any of those things. There was a whole lot of world I had to learn, and then I got sued by Facebook for promoting a software that ended up scraping UIDs. It wasn't even my software, but eventually later I got sued for it, and I got banned from Facebook. I had to pause my teaching and education business. And during that time, I was bored. I was like, well, I have all these giant holes in the market. I need something to do. Before, I had all these limiting beliefs. I'd never had a staff or a big team or all these different things. I said, okay, maybe it's time to grow. Maybe this is a big change and I need to actually start doing all these things. So during my downtime, as I was fighting a legal battle on one hand with Facebook, on the other hand, I was creating this giant, huge thing that I emerged from my Facebook bandwidth and launched and just kind of shocked the marketing community and grew massively as an entrepreneur, kind of as part of it. So, it was a long journey, built out of a lot of character building experiences and something that was sitting in front of my face for probably 6 months before I took the leap and did it. So sometimes it's right in front of your nose the whole time, and you need a life-changing thing to happen for you to kind of take that leap. And I did. I needed to get the handcuffs off. I had like these, what I call the golden cuffs. I had a really nice business over there that was doing well, that wasn't super stressful, which is still a great business model, where I was teaching people, but it wasn't showing me where my potential was as an entrepreneur. And something crazy in my life happened, and I said, all right, now's the time. Now we're going to throw our excuses out the window. We're going to figure out how to fill these holes in the market. We're going to figure out how to build this team, and we're going to change a lot of lives in the process. And we did.
Wow, incredible. Great question. So Jonathan says, what is the ecom marketplace right now compared to 3 months ago? Great question.
Well, I mean, 3 months in current life has been pretty crazy. 3 months is like a decade of the pandemic and everything. So, I mean, the first time ever that the New Year from China has ever really changed. I've tried to spend a lot of money to get product to the United States previous years faster. With Chinese New Year, doesn't happen. I mean, you might squeeze a day or two as a couple companies come back to work, but you're not going to stop or change or extend or shorten Chinese New Year. It just doesn't happen or change. And that's been the same way the entire time I've ever done e-commerce the last 8 years. This year, it changed. This year, it's different. Our entire logistical system has changed. So I think that you've seen a massive disruption in the last 3 months in the entire supply chain. People are starting to kind of collateralize where they do their business, and it's starting to get more localized. And I think you're going to see a ripple effect for the next 9 months of exactly that, where things start to localize a little more. And I don't know where it's going to be 9 months from now. The last 3 months has changed drastically and just where people have been able to get some of their products. Like some of my best backups, redundancies, and supply chain warehouses that I know don't exist right now. So a lot of things have changed.
Awesome. That's good. Thanks, Don. So, Don, we're going to have Mother's Day. After we have Mother's Day, I guess, is it Father's Day? Is the next big event after Mother's Day, or what would do next?
Yeah, Mother's Day, and then you roll into Father's Day. So do your research now on campaigns that are working so you can find out what sells for Mother's Day, because usually you just stick the word dad on it, and it sells well for Father's Day. So great time for ecom.
Awesome. So, Don, thank you so much, Don. 2 more questions. The first question, Don, what is next for you and Gear Bubble? What would you say? Is it another 5 years, or have you got an exit plan? Is there something else you want to diversify in? I know you got a lot of other businesses. What is next for Don?
I'm going to be in here for a while. We have had exit offers and different things like that. We have turned them down. That doesn't mean that I won't take the right one at some point. I wouldn't say that I have 5 years down the road planned, but for the next couple of years, I'm going to be innovating as much as we can in e-commerce, looking and tightening the screws on all the things that we're doing right. So smart upsell technology and stuff that I can't talk about today. But we've got some pretty innovative stuff that we're going to continue to do. Not going anywhere. I'm going to be in e-commerce for at least another couple of years.
Good to know. Good to know. So final question, Don. When it's all said and done, and when you're sitting back and drinking your cup of coffee, whatever age you've made a significant impact on the world, whether it's through Gear Bubble or something else, what would you most like to be remembered for?
I would say helping as many people as I could become an entrepreneur and not have any regrets at the same time. That's it.
That's a similar thing. Yeah, I'm the same. I just want to help people provide value in the marketplace. And especially as we're moving into a very digital era of commerce, I think there's a massive opportunity. Anyone out there, whether you have a retail store that is failing right now, whether you have a business that is not open because of this pandemic, move that business online, diversify, build skills for the future, connect with people, join masterminds, and an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So Don, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. You've been watching Season 2, Episode 4. This is Don Wilson, owner of Gear Bubble. I look forward to the next episode. Thank you so much, Don, for your time. And awesome.
Thanks for having me.